Now we're back. Okay. Does it show us live?
I think
Fair.
so.
Okay. Welcome to part two, everybody. My computer's a piece of crap, and until this thing starts funding itself, we can't afford a new one. So, occasionally these get split up into multiple parts on YouTube because that's just the way the cookie crumbles. If you're listening to it on Spotify or any of your other podcast places, you hear it in one part, but you hear me explaining this to the people who have to watch it in multiple parts. So, we were talking about Third Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, when I came out here and saw you watching Third Ant-Man, I thought for sure you were going to say Third Ant-Man.
That was a possibility. It was really going to come down to which I felt I would have more to talk about, and I landed on Guardians of the Galaxy
Really,
because I think it's a better movie.
you didn't have a yeah, but you would think it being a worse movie would give you more to talk about. Like my picks, I have a lot to talk about because it's a bad movie. Um, um,
It being a bad movie and me watching it home made me not pay attention as much
Fair. Okay, here's the question though, because we walked away from that being like it's fine, it's okay. Did your mind change on that
for the Ant-Man.
for Third Ant Man? Yeah,
Um,
we said it had a bad ending, but it was otherwise fine.
I still think they should have been trapped in the quantum realm. I think that him getting out is weird.
Yeah, it is weird. Yeah.
I don't think that works. So based on that, I would say yeah, the ending is not great because the pacing is like it feels like it was rewritten, and it
And it
was,
was, yeah, it was rewritten, and it feels
but
that way, and it felt
but
like
it
that way at the
feels like
time.
it does. Yeah,
Yeah,
it is
it was
still it still
changed.
feels like
It was
that.
changed as a result of test audiences, and it absolutely shows. And it's like, yeah, do you do you judge? I mean, yeah, you got to judge it based on the product you're given. Um,
Yeah,
I didn't think it was.
and
I mean,
the
sorry,
product I was given, it's fine. It's just not great.
exactly, yeah, and it's just like Ant Man wasn't the space. That's why when it's funny because when people are like, oh, um, when they were like, oh, Ant Man might be in fourth Spider Man. I'm okay with that if you shrink it down. If you do say something on the scale of Ant Man 1 with Spider Man, I want that because I want them to scale down Spider Man. But if it's like no, Ant Man stays at Ant Man 3 and it's outrageous and it's huge again, no, get that shit down to what it's supposed to be, a small little filler movie that tied you over until the next Avengers comes out. Like that's the purpose of the first two Ant-Mans, and it was fine as that. It didn't need to be anything more than that.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with that. Um, I think that the third Ant-Man tried to do too much. It was a weird place to try and introduce Kang.
Exactly, yeah. It was like this is not they did enough. You did enough teasing him in Loki. You didn't need a big "Here I am" movie for that character because
Not for that movie, not for Ant-Man. That's a weird place to do it.
yeah, like what they should have done. I mean, a better. I mean, if you want to do the he goes to the quantum realm, they get stuck there movie. Okay, fine, whatever. Make Bill Murray the bad guy, or one of the quantum people, Bill Murray, because he's kind of a bad guy in that movie anyway. And then have it where it's like Kang is just a guy. He's helping them the whole movie, and like you're trying to stop them. Maybe I don't know. Maybe Bill Murray has Kang's chair or something, or one of a piece of his technology, and like they have to get it from Bill Murray, and you have the big fight at the end, and then you can have the ants beat Bill Murray, and then Kang like picks up the helmet or something and he puts it on and he's like, oh, I'm actually the bad guy. Boots Ant-Man away and walks through a portal and then disappears. Boom,
I
he's
mean,
there the whole movie. They could talk about how he's such a big deal, but then you don't know that he's Kang until the end, and then that's a bit more subtle and like less like this isn't the movie for this.
especially because you could easily have had it be where it's like Bill Murray found the guy who becomes Modoc,
Yeah,
and is like, yeah, no, he was dying, and I turned him into this, and have it be where you think he's the one that made the dude into Modoc, because Modoc is the secondary villain in that movie.
yeah.
So you could lean on him more, and have it be where Kang is pretending to be like, oh, that's horrifying and stuff with them and helping. Yeah, and then do what you said
I
for the
do
rest
like I
of
do
it.
like the idea of have it where Bill Murray saved him and turned him into Modoc, and then he works for Bill Murray. I like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely better. Yeah. I mean, we've written 1,000 better endings for that movie. I mean, because it was. I mean, on the
I
way
mean,
home, you and me, we were like, yeah, this is bad. Like,
it just doesn't make sense, and it feels rewritten.
yeah.
That's my biggest issue.
I
Is
can't
like,
stand when you can see an earlier version of a script in a movie. It's really distracting.
yeah,
It's like, oh, this is
it
clearly
just
three
takes
or
me
four
out of
scripts
it.
that have been cobbled together. Hey, it's we're hitting that level of like knowing. I mean, I certainly am, and then you by extension, um, are getting to that level of knowing how the sausage is made. So you notice like stuff like that in
Yeah,
movies,
yeah, to
and
a degree.
it can make you appreciate a movie more when you go like, oh yeah, I don't take for granted how this was done. But it also can pull you out when you're like, yeah, this is clearly like version 4 of the script, and you can see this part. That yeah, um,
I mean, only if it's done really poorly.
yeah. So, okay, moving trucking right along here. You want to do your new thing?
Yeah, I'll do my new thing
New thing.
first.
What is your new thing?
So, moving into the realm of things that have not been seen before by either of us, I watched The Knights of the Zodiac.
Okay, so I have questions
Uh,
immediately. Um,
I
um,
will do my best.
this is an American movie.
As I understand it, yes.
Yeah, and it's got an American cast. It's not like it's like you watched a Japanese one and it was dubbed.
No, no, this was
This was
definitely
like
it
a
had.
Hollywood movie.
I mean, I assume it was in
Why?
made in.
That's it's so
I know that it had Toei's name on it.
yeah, because
Um,
they do the anime it's based on. So the anime it's
but I
based
mean,
on.
it's definitely like an American. What's weird? So okay, I have immediate thoughts about it.
Yeah.
Which will maybe will
Well,
I'll let you ask.
I'll tell you
I'll let you
about
ask.
it.
I'll let you ask questions after I kind of say my piece first.
What I will say
Um,
is I I I
no,
I, I will tell
I'd
you.
really I'd
I
really like to go first.
well hold on. Let me just. I will tell you about the stuff that it's based on because it is based on
No,
stuff.
no, no. That's why I want to go first, is because watching this, it very much reminded me of like when we watched the Avatar movie or where we watched the Dragon Ball Z movie, except it was worse in those instances because I knew what the original stuff was.
Not when we
But
first
for
watched
this,
the not when we first watched Avatar. When we first watched Avatar, we not
Dragon Ball is
Dragon
more
Ball
what I'm
though.
talking
Yes,
about.
yes, yeah,
Where this felt like it felt like I was watching a bastardized version of a thing, with
yeah.
like an anime, like a what
You
have you.
were.
No, I know, but I'm saying it felt like it. As a person who had no frame of reference for the original thing, I felt like as I'm watching it, I'm like, I feel like this is like a thing that is far more extended in the actual thing.
Yeah.
Now you can say your
Oh, well,
piece.
okay. So it's based on well, it's sort of two things. It's based on in Japanese. It's based on a show called Saint Seiya, and I don't know much about Saint Seiya. You would know it visually because they are in that Jump Force game. They wear the armor,
Oh,
the weird armor and sword. And it's so far as I know, about like Greek gods and stuff. So like the
one
main
god,
guy,
one god in particular in
yeah,
this one. But
Athena. He works for like he's Athena's champion or something like that. And then they eventually brought it into to America and they retitled it Knights of the
I'm
Zodiac.
losing you a little bit. You're sputtering.
Am I?
I didn't catch most of that. You were sputtering.
Oh, it's they brought it to America and they called it Knights of the Zodiac. And they made it about the Zodiac, so they all use Zodiac powers, and that's about it. I never watched it, and that's all I know.
So yes, in this version of it, I mean, it is what you've described, but bastardized. Um, so you have your main character who is basically Goku, who, when he was a kid, the bad guys show up and take his sister away, and now he's an orphan, and he grows up, and he's in this fighting ring. He's fighting against this one, like this the person that he gets set up against. And then the main dude, who I assume is maybe a character from the show that I'm supposed to know but don't, is like, no dancing this time, like actually just like make it a show and fight properly, and they're in the octagon, so it's supposed to be like a UFC kind of thing. And he goes in and he's like dancing around the guy and like kicking his ass, basically pulling like an ultra instinct where he's kicking his ass without like even looking like he's trying. And so then the dude who was the dude who is the organizer or whatever jumps down into the ring and like kicks the other dude out like aggressively and then starts wailing on our hero, whose name I don't remember, but it was something Asian sounding. Um, hold on. Saya,
Yeah, Seiya.
Seiya.
That's what the original show is named after. Saint Seiya.
Um, Saya. Um, he starts getting his ass kicked by the other dude, the one who was setting him up with the fight and stuff. And like he's getting wailed on, and kind of the point is that he's like he never gives up. He keeps getting up and stuff. And then like as he's getting punched to the ground, the magic wings come out of his back, and like he goes up, and then stuff happens, and then the bad guys who are hunting people like him who have energy become aware of him, and so then Sean Bean shows up, uh, because he's in this movie, um, and he essentially rescues our hero and he's like, "Come with me" and stuff, and they
I'm
go and
Sean
they
Bean.
escape, and he he brings him back to the compound or whatever where his daughter who is being kept, and also in the prequel of the movie you find out, or not prequel but like
Prologue.
the beginning part of the prologue, thank you, of the movie, you find out that Athena, the Greek goddess, is being reborn in human form. And there were the two people that were like trying to protect him. And I guess one of them is Sean Bean, who is essentially her adoptive dad.
All right then.
And
Sounds like it's a very long
Athena,
television show that they got squeezed into a 2-hour movie.
that's what I'm saying. Like how the first now being able to go back and know that the first Avatar movie is just like the entirety of the first season squished into a movie
Yeah.
and doesn't work and is bad. Um and So yeah, Sean Bean tells Saya that his ex-wife Vander, whatever her last name, Gerard or whatever, is looking for him. And then a bunch of stuff happens, and then they're like, so you're like the knight, the Pegasus knight, and you're supposed to like protect Athena. And he's all like, I have no interest in that. I just want to find my sister and train to be the knight and know how to use the powers so that I can go and save and find her. And fuck you guys. And so then they're like, well, all right, we're gonna let you train with the armored knight or one of the knights or whatever. Then you'll have a change of heart, definitely, probably. And so he goes off to have a training montage where he learns how to like harness his powers, which are like he could punch a rock and destroy it with his punch because he's just like he's destroying the atoms and causing them to separate. And then like the person that he trains with is like a woman, and it's like, oh, you're a woman. And I feel like that's supposed to be like a reference because probably in the original show maybe it wasn't a woman, and that's why they're saying that it's weird that it's a woman now. I don't know. I didn't watch the original thing. I have no frame of reference for any of this.
Don't have a clue.
Uh, um, but he does the training montage, and does the slowly getting better over time thing, and is finally able to like do it. And then he does the armor, and he's like he's got the armor, but it's like cheap looking, so I don't think it's the real armor. And then he finds out that like he unlocks the memory or whatever that when his sister was taken, it wasn't just the ex-wife of Sean Bean that took his sister. It was actually also Sean Bean because Sean
Oh
Bean was
snap!
also there.
Oh
Oh
snap!
snap!
Oh snap! What a
And
twist!
and so our hero
Did not see that
Saya
coming.
Saya wink goes back to the
Let me
compound
guess.
where Sean
Sean
Bean
Bean
is,
dies.
and hold on, we're getting there. Goes back there and is all like, Bean, I gotta talk to you, bitch. His name is not actually Bean in this movie. I just don't remember what it is. Um, and the girl who is the body of Athena, who it isn't actually Athena yet, but like until Athena takes over her body is her own separate person. it's it, like comes and is like get on this motorcycle that I'm on with me so that we can go talk about this in a different location. And then they go off and have a whole bunch of exposition and
This
talking.
this sounds like a very bad
Um,
movie.
it was not well received. Um, and they do a whole bunch of exposition and talking. Meanwhile, and I might be remembering things slightly out of order, but the point still stands. At some point, the ex-wife shows up at the compound where Sean Bean is at, and they start having this talking back and forth, where you find out that the reason why the mother is hunting for Athena and wants to find her is so that uh, she's concerned, or is because she's concerned that when the daughter is taken over by Athena, Athena is a god of war, which I mean, I guess technically she is, but she's also a goddess of wisdom. But they really want to focus on the point that she's a goddess of war in this one. And so she's afraid that when she takes over, she's going to destroy the planet. So you're supposed to be like, okay, so maybe her motives for kidnapping children and absorbing their powers isn't like totally bad because she doesn't want the world to be destroyed, and that's why she's willing to kill her adoptive daughter and stuff. And so then Sean Bean is all like, no, I have to protect our daughter because that's what we swore to do. And the only way I can do that is by blowing up this compound with both me and you in it. And so Sean Bean pulls a Sean Bean and kills himself.
Like Sean Bean
Um,
does.
that's Sean Bean's purpose in a movie is to die.
Yep.
Um, and so Sean Bean dies. So I won't have to say Sean Bean anymore because Sean Bean is no more. And the mom or the Athena, the girl who plays Athena and Saya come back and um meanwhile, I forgot to mention the dude who organized the fight club that Saya was fighting in that first movie really doesn't like Saya. I can't really understand why he has such a hate boner for him, but he really, really does. And so the mother like drip fed blood infusion whatever energy into him, I think, or blood or something. And so now he's wearing armor like and is a part of her group and is super duper strong, and so starts beating the shit out of our hero. And meanwhile, like, our hero is like, don't worry, I'll protect you, not Athena, who's going to become Athena. And uh and um the dude, he's like, I have the power of the armor now. I can totally fight super strong UFC dude that I fought against at the beginning of the movie, who hates me for some reason that Jordan doesn't fully understand. And he's getting the shit beat out of him because the armor won't work for him. And then Athena agrees to go with the mom and people, if basically they leave. And so she does, and gets put into this machine. And the mom and this other dude who is with the mom um start up the machine, and it starts draining away her energy to like kill her without destroying the planet, so that she can't turn into Athena and Athena can't destroy the planet. And so that's happening. And meanwhile, our hero has this like meditation scene where he talks to the person that trained him, and she's all like, you need to focus, like, what's your blah 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 meditate bullshit. And it's like, I feel like this is like a thing that happened in like the first 5 minutes in the show when he learns how to use this suit. And so then he transforms, and it's like the full version of the suit, and it's like the armor and stuff, and it looks all badass and dope. And he's like got full control of his kind of Goku powers. Because at one point when he's training with the girl, she does like this key blast at him, which just kind of looks like a Dragon Ball Z like key blast.
So
Um,
go on.
sorry.
Go. No, I have questions. Go on.
And so then our hero goes to go and save Athena, and he goes in, and he's like, I have to turn off the machine. And then that other dude that I was talking about that was working with Athena's mom, not Athena's mom, but Athena's host's mom, um, is all like, "You think you're the only person with the power of the suit?" And then like he also turns into a badass, dope like Power Ranger type suit, which, except I guess he's got the power of the Phoenix, which is maybe evil in the original, but I don't know if it is, and I feel like it wouldn't be. And so he starts fighting against our hero who has the power of the Pegasus. And we have like this badass fight scene, which actually looks like it looks nice, or at least I thought it did, where they're fighting with the powers and stuff. And it's kind of fun. Meanwhile, the mom is all like had a change of heart before that and was like, I have to turn off the machine. But the dude who was in the power of the Phoenix, and this is when he turned into the suit, was like, no, she has to, like, we have to kill or fight the gods or whatever, and like stabs her. And so now like she's stabbed and is slowly walking over the thing to turn it off. And meanwhile, the daughter, who has been being drained all this time, does turn into Athena and starts doing like these waves of like boom, 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 and it's destroying like everything. Because again, they really want to harp on the fact that Athena is technically a god of war, but neglect the fact that she's a goddess of wisdom and isn't all about destruction. They're kind of treating her like Ares, and it's very distracting for me, a person who actually knows stuff about like,
I
you
mean,
know,
you gotta remember
Greek
that
gods.
this is coming from Japan, and yeah, it they don't know a ton about the Greek gods. There's a lot of stuff where they try to do Greek gods, but they don't know.
It's just not right. It's not correct. And so then after the fight scene happens between the two transformed guys, and our guy kind of wins somehow. I don't really remember how. I think he just beats him. But he doesn't like kill him or anything. He's just temporarily stopped him. And so then he starts doing that thing in movies where the hero slowly walks towards the source of the good person that's causing all the destruction and is like, I have to stop, and his armor is slowly getting like blown off of him and stuff. And he gets to her and he's like, remember that line that you said to me earlier in the movie when we were having our expositional talk about how destiny, we can choose our destiny? And then she turns back to herself, and her hair is a different color now, and she has full control of all the Athena power, but she's not destroying anymore. And she heals her mom, so her mom know because her mom, I guess, had like a disease where her arm was turning black, which is why she was absorbing all the power of the children, I guess, which feels like it was a thing from the original anime.
Probably.
Um, and then our not Athena heals her, and so now she's not bad now. So we should just forgive all the children that she kidnapped and sapped of their energy, which seems to imply sapping their energy kills them, but they don't outright say it, which feels like a thing they do outright say in the anime,
Probably.
but they're too cowardly to say in this movie.
Probably.
Um, um, and then so then like the last scene, we see that the Phoenix guy did survive and kind of just fucks off and wanders off for the sequel. They're not definitely not going
Not
to
gonna make.
get.
No, because this movie
Um,
tanked. It bombed horribly.
and yeah, no, this movie did very poorly. And um, our expositional heroes are all like, you know, there are other gods out there. The battle's just beginning. Da 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 da. I mean, it doesn't actually do that, but it might as well have,
My question
because it
is,
definitely feels like they're setting up for a sequel
for
that they'll
sure,
never get.
who is this for? Because like the only reason why you adapted, like, it had a full theatrical release. Like I first saw,
From what I understand, the creator wanted to make it.
because I saw commercials for this on YouTube pre roll ads. Like they marketed it. Like I saw a commercial for it and I was like, it was like Knights of the Zodiac. I think I had on the. I was like, what the fuck, Knights of the Zodiac? Who? Why? What? Who paid for this? And it was like, oh, this actually looks pretty expensive. Like it's an American. It's not like they made this in Japan on a string shoe budget. No, this is an American produced movie. Usually you only adapt anime because you're hoping to capitalize on its American audience. Who there is there an American audience for Saint Seiya? Like for Knights of the Zodiac, the adaptation of Saint Seiya?
I don't think so.
Clearly not,
I
because this movie
mean,
did very poorly.
my thing with this movie that I would say, um, as a person who knows nothing of the source material and is just going off this definitely bastardized version of it, which is funny because again, as I understand, um, the the movie, like the original creator, I maybe I'm wrong about this. I'm just trying to read. Um, oh no, it says based on it by the creator. Maybe he didn't have anything to do with it. I thought he did,
Did this?
but
Who produced it? Who distributed it?
It was directed by Tomek Baginski from a
Uh,
screenplay by Josh Campbell and Matt Stewixton and Kiel Murray.
yes, no, no, no.
Uh,
Who produced and distributed it? What was the studio?
Produced by Yoshi Ikazawa,
Okay,
Joseph Chow, and Tim Kwok.
interesting. Who distributed it?
Production companies: Stage Six Film and Toei Company. Distributed by Toei, Sony Pictures Releasing
Sony.
International.
Sony. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
But it was also Toei in Japan.
Toei in Japan definitely did it, but so out here it was by Sony. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me that Sony would buy that. But that's weird. Like I don't understand live action anime adaptations. Not even the why would you take an anime and try to live? It's just like why do they always try to do too much? Like pick
Yeah,
like two or
that's
three
the thing.
episodes and adapt that. Don't try to do a whole arc in one like 2 hour at most movie because that's all you're gonna get for
Um,
something like this. What was the
so
runtime?
so uh, it was I don't know that it says on here. Um, it was your standard runtime. It was not super duper long.
Hour and a half? Hour
But
forty
what's
five?
funny is the budget. It had a 60 million budget, and its box office was 7 million.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Um,
Um,
because yeah, you're gonna squeeze something into an hour and a half long movie, like as opposed to give him a 2 hour. That's why the people although we think it looks bad, that's why people like the Netflix One Piece is because they decide we'll just do a show, and it's like yeah, and even then people say it's rushed. They're like trying to squeeze multiple episodes.
so
Yeah,
apparently, yeah, the author wanted to adapt it to a live action film almost as long as he worked on the manga. And in 2016, Toei Animation first revealed that such an adaptation was in development.
interesting. But there's a big difference between like them doing one of those like they did the live action Yu Yu Hakusho or like a live action Death Note that you do in Japan and one that you do in America. Like it's very different. Two entirely separate worlds. It's not the
Yeah,
same thing. So the fact that this has American, but I mean Sean Bean so it sounds like your most famous guy in it, but still you've got some like Hollywood behind this, and you wouldn't do it unless it's a brand you like trusted. It's weird that they thought, but to be fair, they just slipped it into theaters like everyone was like, what? There's a Knights of the Zodiac movie? What? That's weird.
yeah, it was definitely a choice. Again, it was one of those ones where it's like I didn't think it was bad per se, just very in terms of an American movie, kind of just very generic.
That's what it looked like to me. Yeah, it looked like this is just
Um,
another science fiction movie.
but I mean, if you can watch it for free on a service that you have access to, that you're already paying for the service and you're not specifically paying for this movie, I mean, it doesn't hurt to check it out. It's a fun, stupid little thing you can put on.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Um, I paid for it.
Ooh,
I paid like $2 or $3 for it, but you know, I rented it. So would I have done that necessarily? No. But if it was on one of the streaming services that I have that I could watch it, would I check it out? Yeah, it's fun. It's
fair enough.
dumb.
Okay. Any final thoughts on Knights of the Zodiac before we move
It's
on?
aggressively okay.
That's nice to hear. Because the first thing we're gonna talk about before we get into the themed ones, we're gonna talk about the Flash, Jordan. Because I rewatched the Flash this morning. That's why this is late. Because I was like, I want to watch the Flash. That's why I was like, oh, I know I said good, but let's talk about one of the worst movies of the year. Um, God, that movie's terrible. It's terrible and ghoulish and awful. And what were they thinking? I think I gave it the "What Were They Thinking" award because what were they thinking with almost all to most of it. Um, the thing that I hate about it, one of the many things, is I hate how he's late. That's a thing that the show resolves almost immediately. When he gets super speed, he's no longer late anymore because he has super speed. Like there's so many situations in this movie where they just forget he has super speed.
Sorry, back's getting sore.
Um, it's just a terrible, Like, and then
I
obviously
mean,
once we get to the second half of the third act, it's like their idea of time travel doesn't make any sense. They want to be like it's not causality time travel, but it follows all the rules of cause. The entire climax is based on going back and redoing it and going back. So if he's like, oh, every time he does that, it doesn't change anything, but it does. So they are following causality time travel rules, but they want to say that they're not. It's dumb and confusing, and the bad guy's stupid and confusing.
him being late as a concept for a speedster doesn't inherently bother me if it's part of his disguise.
Yeah, but it's not
So
in this case.
you don't you no, I know. I'm just more speaking in a general sense. I could be okay with that as a thing if like the idea is that you're trying to make people think you're not fast by always being late.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
works for me.
yeah. I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I like I said, the show kind of
Like
resolves that pretty
if you're
immediately.
always early and people are starting to attribute you to being really
No, he
fast.
just started being on time all the time. So it's like, yeah, they just immediately were like, yeah, he's no longer late. And I appreciated that because yeah, I know if you were super fast, you would. And then there's so many moments. It's like, why are you picking up breakfast from a fast food place when you can just make your own food, learn how to cook your own food instantly, and like, and then to be fair, it's not. There's stuff not stuff like there's stuff to I like about that movie. Like I like how they visually show you what phasing looks like because it's a thing that they verbally explain on the show, but you finally get to see in a big budget. Says, oh, this is how this concept or mechanic works. All the Batman stuff is good. Still, it's the best. The only good stuff in this movie is the Batman stuff. So it's good he gets to go direct a Batman movie because it's the most interesting stuff in this. Anything that involves the Flash is terrible. Um, so this is how
I
I
mean,
would.
to be fair, that's because that actor is kind of
Oh, it's
terrible.
bad.
Not as an actor necessarily, but I just mean he is a terrible
So
person.
so for this exercise, since we've both already seen this movie and I don't need to tell you about it, um, I'm gonna fix it. I'm gonna fix this movie. Number one, the bad guy is not that weird dark Flash. He's gone. Number two, other Barry's gone. And number three, the bad guy is the Reverse Flash. And this is how it works. Okay, the bad guy or the Reverse Flash kills his mom because that's what it was gonna be anyway. Reverse Flash kills his mom. He wakes up. He's the Flash, no whatever. Decides to go back in time to save him, to save the mom. He saves the mom. It basically plays out mostly the same. And then it's like, and then in the climax, mostly the same movie. He still winds up in the alternate timeline where his mom's there, except for no other Barry. He doesn't have powers. He's happy. He's alive. He's adjusted. Whatever. He sees Zod show up just like in the actual movie, and he's basically like, "Oh shit, I have to I have
I
to
fix it.
yeah, I have to go get Batman." He goes and gets Batman. Maybe he's Michael Keaton. Maybe he's still Ben Affleck. Ideally, he's still Ben Affleck. Um, and they go and they get Supergirl just like in the final movie. They go to that, except for again no other Barry, but it's just Batman. That way, Batman can have a dedicated action sequence. They save Supergirl. They go through that whole sequence. Zod is basically there, and he decides he needs to get his powers back to fight Zod. That's why he gets his powers back. It all plays out mostly the same. And then at the end, you find out that Reverse Flash went back in time to kill his mom because he knew he had that's part of his origin, and he knew that he was always going to become the Reverse Flash, and that he had to create himself by killing his thing. And then you could still do the whole message of how our backstory informs us and how our past is important. And the arc for Barry can be he has to learn that he needs to be the Flash, and he needs to have gone through this to be the Flash, and then he fights the Reverse Flash. But the important part is instead of it being weird future other Barry who makes him do the Flashpoint, it's Reverse Flash. Because why wasn't Reverse Flash in this movie? It should have been Reverse Flash. It's dumb. It was like one of those like moves where like you're assuming you're gonna get a sequel where you're gonna get to do Reverse Flash, but just do him from the beginning. And if you want to go more into him later on, do that. But do him from the beginning.
Now, see, I like everything that you've said, and I agree with it all. But I'm changing one thing, and that's when the Flashpoint happens. We change the actor that plays the Flash.
I mean, again, I'm doing a thing where we're stuck with him in this version of this. He's sign on. We're stuck with him. We have to. I think if we eliminate other Barry and because they give him this arc of like literally facing himself, which is really hackneyed. Um, and facing who he is, seeing that he's really annoying, and then by the end of it, he's no longer annoying. You can do that, except for you can have all that character work be internal. Like a good movie. Instead of literally having evil Ezra Miller go, "I am the Flash." Oh no, you're not. You are not the Flash. And yeah, obviously all the cameos are awful and ghoulish and terrible, and they look even worse when you're watching it at home. Like they look
Yeah,
terrible,
let's just do away with those and have actual actors and actresses come in and play people.
right? Maybe don't do a George Reeves cameo because that was really disrespectful. I learned about
No,
that. I
or
heard
like
about that. Heard I was gonna.
if you want to have like a thing which is maybe a tribute to him but not actually ghoulish, you have it in 2D animation and like you have it where it's like you could imply that it's him but don't have it voiced by him,
Or
don't
look like him.
necessarily have it be, yeah, just like it's implied but you don't state it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, that's based on the George Reeves Superman. That's not George Reeves Superman because he very famously hated that character, and it's the reason why he's no longer with us. Well, I mean, I think he probably would be dead, but it's the reason why he left us. It's
Yeah.
not cool to have him show up recreated badly. Not even like maybe like it was bad, and same with the Christopher Reeves and the Linda.
Nicolas Cage.
All bad, all bad. It was bad. Oh my goodness, it was like
What makes the Nicolas Cage one especially bad is from what I understand he came in and he filmed shit.
no, and he's like, that's not what
Like
I filmed.
he actually filmed shit and they still then just put CGI over his face and did a completely different thing that he didn't film.
Yeah, he's like, I didn't. What the fuck? It's Spider? What the fuck? Like, I didn't do any of that. And it's like,
Like
ugh,
why
fucking
bother having
awful.
him come in at that
I
point?
know, awful, just awful, awful movie. And it was like, I was trying because I don't do worst of lists anymore, but I'm like, man, if I did, it would be on there. It was, oof, that was a
Yeah,
bad movie.
yeah,
And it was like the first time I
yeah.
watched it, it was like, it's fine. And then, yeah, rewatching it now, I'm like, no, it's bad. It's a bad
I
movie.
mean, more what I remember saying the first time I watched it was, um, it's upsetting that it's as good as it is, considering such a bad person is in it.
I mean, yeah, but he's like one. There's so many other reasons why that movie's bad beyond him being a bad
Oh, I
person.
know. I'm just saying.
But
That's what I remember saying
I mean, like,
as
ugh, it's a shame he's a terrible person, or they're a terrible person, non-binary, whatever. Um, it's a shame that they because I sort of feel like he could have been less irritating if they had worked at it. But just not very good. So with that, I don't have anything else I want to say. I just wanted to complain about the Flash a bunch and it being no good. We're gonna move on into my other one I had seen, and with our big theme for the book report this week for me is movies I guarantee Jordan's never heard of, and we're gonna start off with the one I had seen. I saw it earlier in this year, and watching it was a whole experience of going somewhere far to watch it, and I missed the beginning. But it's Wes Anderson's Asteroid City. And do you know Wes Anderson by name? Do I have to explain who
I
Wes Anderson?
recognize the name, but I
Um,
can't for the.
I think the only Wes Anderson film you've seen is the Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Oh, so he's weird.
Yeah, the weird guy. He
Okay.
the Asteroid City is basically it's two movies, it's two stories. It's an out of story meta story, basically about a guy who writes a play, and about the construction of that play, and all the various actors in the movie play actors and performers in that play. And then the secondary plot is the play itself. The play is basically a bunch of kids and families and stuff all arrive at this kind of like it's the 1950s, so it's this sort of New Mexico desert city that's just outside of the range of an atomic bomb testing site, and they've all shown up there for like like an award basically of like the smartest kid. They all have inventions, and they're all in participation for a scholarship. And while that I should say this is the town where a piece of asteroid crash landed, and that's the big thing. It's why it's called Asteroid City. And so when they're about to do the ceremony for in the story of the play, they're about to do the ceremony. An alien like just kind of appears out of nowhere and just sort of awkwardly walks up to the asteroid and does one of and then takes it and leaves. And everyone's like, what the fuck? Like, what happened? And that becomes this like government cover up of like of the government is hiding this, and they're keeping all the people who saw it illegally quarantined to, and they're basically they're interacting, um, and then eventually the alien comes back and puts it back, and it looks like it's been cataloged, like it's been inventoried, and it's really weird. I love his movies because I love Wes Anderson movies because they feel like they're written by an alien. Like they're written, they feel like they're like humans don't talk like that. Humans don't have conversations like this. Like this is an alien's idea of how people speak, and
Like I said, weird,
and that's
weird.
why I love his dialogue, and I love the how he has his actors deliver dialogue. They never
Uh,
talk like people, um, and I like the there's a moment where towards the end where one of the main guys is basically like they're doing the scene in the play, and he's like, I still don't get to play, and he walks off stage. And you walk past, and the alien who looks like he's stop motion or CGI is now being played by Jeff Goldblum, and and he goes to one of the other actors, and yeah, they have a whole discussion about that. And I just the thing about that I took away from this movie the first time when I watched it was I was like, I would love to see Wes Anderson do Star Wars. Like there was a really funny YouTube video where it was like, what if Wes Anderson did Star Wars? And I'd like him to do a Star Wars. Or it's the same way I'm excited for the Taika Waititi Star Wars, where it's like just let him do a story that's not connected to the main story. That's just its own little thing. That's maybe about like a starship pilot or like a spaceship or whatever. And it's just him doing his dialogue in Star Wars. Or not even just Star Wars, a science fiction movie generally. I would love to see him like take an honest crack of just weird and have it where it's like oh maybe the humans talk like Wes Anderson characters, but then the aliens talk like regular people or something. I think that would be fun.
I'd watch it.
Yeah, and I mean I enjoy the quirkiness and weirdness of his stuff. It's just super weird and super fun.
For me, quick quirkiness is very hit or miss. I either think it's really, really funny, or it just doesn't land on me, and nothing in between.
Yeah. I mean, the one that the Fantastic Mr. Fox. I love that movie. That's such a good movie. But he
I
didn't write
remember that
that.
one just being weird.
Yeah,
That's what I remember about that.
there's a lot of really funny videos of them rehearsing the dialogue where they're like actually physically acting it out. And it's really very strange because it's like the thing that's funny about that movie is they could not be animals and it would be the same movie.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's why I
And
enjoy that movie.
sometimes that's the best, like when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, it's super, and yeah, it's really fun, and it's on Amazon Prime, so it's one that I can absolutely recommend. It's quite good. It's weird. Part of what made me pick it for this was I saw it was on someone's worst of list, and I was like, how? It's like I mean, unless you don't like Wes Anderson, then it's just peak Wes Anderson. It's like yeah, they let him do what he
Mm.
wants, and they just kind of realize that yeah, you just let him do what he wants.
Let them ramble.
Yeah, let him be weird, let him be strange. Yeah, I just want to see him, even fantasy, something that's like really like a really strong genre film, just with his kind of like when they let Edgar Wright do science fiction movies, where it's like yeah, something that's really like can be science fiction and have his like sort of style. I think would be so
Hmm.
interesting.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, that's my two that I saw. One good one and one very bad one. Now, for the two I didn't see. We'll start off with the Holdovers, which me and Obama agree, very good movie. That I did not watch it on a streaming site. I had to find it in other ways, but it's really good. It's a real throwback. It's Paul Giamatti, by name Paul Giamatti. You know him, and he's in a ton of shit. Um,
Not by name.
Big Fat Liar.
Oh, okay. He's the producer.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
yeah. You've seen him in a ton of
One
shit.
of those ones that I
R-
know him, I just don't know him.
Rhino from Amazing Spider-Man 2. Um, he was in Rock of Ages.
Wait, he was Rhino in Amazing Spider-Man 2?
Yes, he was.
Huh.
Um, but basically, it takes place at an
The more you
old,
know.
yeah. It takes place at a private school, like a boarding school, um, and it's basically about a group of kids who have to stay at the school over the course of the winter break. They're called the holdovers. And he, as a form of punishment, he's a real curmudgeonly, like grumpy, grouchy old teacher who's like really traditional and believes in the education and doesn't believe that you should just let because they're all rich kids, so he doesn't believe that they should get a pass just because they're rich, and he actively punishes them for the crime of being rich. Um,
As one should.
as one should, yeah. And it's basically him and one of the kids sort of bond over the course of this Christmas break, and it's about a 2.5 hour movie, 2 hour movie, 2.5 hour, it's somewhere in that range, and it's just a real good classic like 70s style comedy in sort of the same vein. It reminded me a lot of, it reminded me a lot of, like Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I'm forgetting the director's name. Like an old 80s 70s, like also One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, like one of those movies that
Yeah.
just, it really takes its time to let you get to know the characters. So it's like, yeah, they can have a fully, we were talking earlier about not allowing characters to have a fully realized arc, but yeah, he starts off, he's a real fucking prick, and there's misadventures and they go through all sorts of stuff, and by the end of it they're like friends. And I won't give away the ending because it's quite good, but it has kind of a bittersweet ending, and it's just a really sweet fun movie. That I don't have much to say about beyond that.
I understand those feelings.
Yeah,
Sometimes you can just watch a movie and be like, I don't have a lot to say about this, but it's just a good movie.
like it doesn't have anything really to say all that much or anything to like. It's just a really really solid, funny, sad, cute movie that I saw people
Just
saying it's,
something to enjoy.
yeah, it could either be a really good Christmas classic or just a good movie you put on. And yeah, it's just one of those ones where it's like, yeah, people kept saying and recommending it to me. And anytime anyone's or saying, oh, it's so good, it's so good, it's so good. Anytime anyone does that, I immediately need to watch it to prove them wrong, or be proven wrong.
Mm,
And yeah, I was like, oh, there's no way it could be that good. And yeah, a lot of times, like, yeah, it's pretty good. I don't really have anything overly negative or anything about it that I have strong to
what you used to
say.
say.
That's why I picked my second one. That's why I picked two this week. My second one is a movie called shoot. Oh my god, I'm totally blanking. I'm totally blanking. Hold on.
Oh man, that's a really great name. Shoot, oh my god, I'm totally
Uh,
blanking.
Dreamscape, not
Definitely
Dreamscape.
not Stone,
Dream,
definitely not
Dream,
Blank Time.
Dream Scenario. It's called Dream Scenario. It's a Nicolas Cage movie. It's an A24 movie. It's called Dream Scenario, and
Ooh.
it's about this guy he's kind of this boring average guy, and for one reason or another, he winds up in everybody's dreams. So everyone is just randomly
Oh,
dreaming
I
about
think
him.
I've heard of this one. Yeah, 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 yeah.
It's quite good. It's upsetting, but it's good. Um, and it's like, yeah, he at
Like he
first.
starts to like the attention.
Well, that's just the thing. Is at first it's completely harmless. He's just in people's dreams. He's just there, he's trying to, basically he wants to be recognized for his um what's the word, educational, academic, his academic accomplishments. He has these academic theories, and this one woman he used to work with has basically, she's written a book in which he feels she's stolen his ideas and not given him credit. And he shows up and it's basically like, you should give me credit, and she's like, no, I'm not going to do that. And yeah, he starts winding up in people's dreams, and he wants to use that, much sort of related. He wants to use the thing he's become famous for to leverage his way into getting that book. And so initially he shows up in people's dreams and it's completely harmless. Like, he doesn't really do anything. Like, stuff is happening to people and he's just kind of there. And then eventually it starts to change and he starts to participate in the dreams. So like the one girl has like wickedly gross sex dreams about him. And it's gross. It involves a really gross scene where she tries to seduce. It's weird. Um, and so he winds up at this ad with this ad agency, basically, or this PR company, who are basically like, Michael Cera is there, and he's basically like, yeah, you're in everybody's head every night all at once. We can use this to sell stuff. And they're initially like, yeah, we've partnered with Sprite, and we want you to try to sell Sprite. And he's like, yeah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be known for this one thing. I want to be known for my academic success. And they're like, yeah, no, that's not what we want. and he's like he really pushes for it, like, and then like, okay, well we'll work on this with you, and he's like, cool, whatever. Yeah, they're like, yeah, we'll sell your book, whatever. We'll make that happen for you if you do this thing for us, and we'll work it out. And then eventually, what starts happening is people start to have nightmares about him, like really gnarly nightmares, where he hurts them or does something to them or assaults them or in all the ways that are bad that you can imagine. And people start to become afraid of him, and like he'll be in the room with them, and they'll be like visibly uncomfortable by him. And initially he's like it's just a dream, like it's not like I didn't do anything. And then they start to get more, and he starts to get like he gets fired from his job. He like none of the students want to come to his class. Like he goes to go to his daughter's like recital, and none of the parents want him there, all because they keep having this dream where he murders them sometimes and does other things. And eventually he has one of the dreams where is chased by himself and he gets murdered by himself. And he does this like at one point his wife's like, oh, you should apologize, and he's basically like, why? And that's exactly what I would be like. I'd be like, why? I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything to these people. It's not my fault that they're having these dreams. I didn't choose to be in these people's dreams. Like, why is my life being ruined over this? And like, and everyone just kind of goes insane, in my opinion, where they'll start treating him like shit and start treating him monstrously. And it's like, he didn't deserve this. And so eventually, yeah, his life is completely like spun out of control. The PR people are like, yeah, it's different now. Like, we can't sell you anymore. And so he has the nightmare, and he makes this like, his wife is like, oh yeah, you should apologize. And he winds up making this like really like being like, oh, it's so hard to be me. And he starts crying. He's like, I've had the dreams too, and I get it. I've experienced what you've experienced. I didn't get it before, but like, imagine what it's like to be me. It's so hard to be me. And everyone's like, yeah, it's kind of insincere and pathetic. But no, fuck you. Like, imagine your whole life fell apart over something that you can't control. Like, you
Yeah,
didn't
it's not
choose.
like he was going in there and doing it.
Yeah, so it's like, no, well, fuck you. Like it's supposed to be this commentary on like how when you have fame, the public can turn on you, but like and the movie treats him as though he's the unreasonable one. It really reminded me of Being John Malkovich, where the guy's John Malkovich for a bunch of the movie, and then at the end of it, he's like this sad sack loser, and it's like, but he didn't do anything. Like, it's not, he didn't, again, and then so then at the end of the movie, it turns out that they basically used what happened with him to create dream technology where you can just visit other people's dreams on your own, and he sells it to them. This company sells it to people, and people they pay influencers to advertise right into people's dreams, and it's like this dystopian like Black
Ugh.
Mirror shit where it's like, that's awful. And like, how,
No,
and the movie treats it like, oh, we had to learn from the cautionary tale of this guy, and it's like, well, but he didn't do anything. You are actively choosing to violate people's privacy and people's consent by invading the most vulnerable and precious position they have, their mind and their dreams. You're exploiting that and violating that intentionally. He didn't do it intentionally, but he's the worse off for this experience. Like, what? That's not just, and the movie never seems like that's the point. Like, it never seems like it's trying to be like, that's the point. And I mean, it's well told and it's funny and it's charming, but it's just like the message of the movie is muddled and confused, and I don't get it. And it, not that I got it. It's just like, no, he didn't do anything wrong. So why is the movie treating him like he is?
it's not like he's Freddy Krueger intentionally going into people's
Right.
dreams and attacking them.
Exactly. And at the end of the movie, he ends up writing a book about his story, which he titles the name of the movie that I said earlier. Dreamscape, dream scenario. He calls it Dream Scenario, and then they change it without his permission, and they call it, like, he's in French. He's in France, and he's doing a tour, and like, he's promoting this book that's not doing exceptionally well, except for in Europe. And they have him like take pictures with like the Freddy Krueger glove, and like they change it to like Nightmare Man, and it's just like, but he didn't choose to do. This is just a thing that happened to him. Like, it's not like he like actively was able to get like. It was such a frustrating thing of like, no, he's right, and what he's saying is right, and the world is insane in this movie. Like, it's like everyone in this movie's gone insane, and the movie never addresses
And
that.
And yet, I would say that that's the most realistic part of it all.
What, that the world would go insane? Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, they would absolutely. The internet would tear this man to shreds. Like this is
absolutely
a
they
world
would.
where for some reason social media and TikTok doesn't seem to exist, but yeah, TikTok would be very mean to this guy. And there'd be people like me being like,
Absolutely.
he didn't do anything wrong, but then maybe I wouldn't because he'd be in. But also in the
You'd
movie,
be in your head,
well, he's not.
driving you crazy.
That's the thing is in the final movie. In the movie, he's not in everyone's head. He's in most people's heads, but every once in a while, a person he doesn't get in their heads. So they'll be like, was it really like what people said it was, or like I didn't experience the blah 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 dreams, but as my friend did, and yeah, it's just like, oh, what a it was interesting. It's one of those ones that I would recommend to people. Once again, I didn't find it on any streaming sites, but if it is, um, then yeah, then I would definitely recommend it. And then yeah, that was my those were my things. Um, I do not have any final thoughts. So for next week, since it is the beginning of a new year, I haven't told Jordan this. I had this idea this morning. Um, for next year's for next week's book report, next year's first book report of the year. This is the assignment. Um, find your birth year, okay? And I want you to pick your favorite movie from your birth year and a movie you haven't seen from your birth year. So in my case, it's going to be the year of 1990. For Jordan, it's going to be 1991. Pick your own
Okay.
year and pick one of each, and we're going to come back next week and we're going to talk about it. Make sense?
Interesting.
Make sense?
Interesting.
Um,
Hopefully that'll be easier than this one, this
it,
year's
it,
or this
I
one.
think it will be. I think it's going to be much easier. Um, and so yeah, that's the assignment for next week. It's going to be the first episode of the new year. I mean, since this is the New Year's special, before we wrap up, Jordan, is there anything you're excited for that's coming out in 2024 besides Deadpool 3? Because we're both obviously excited for Deadpool 3.
Deadpool 3. I'm interested to see what direction the MCU goes. I don't know if anything is specifically coming out fast in that regard. I'm interested in the new DCU movies that will surely be coming out in the following months.
Yeah, I don't know what's coming out for
Um,
them.
huh?
I said I don't know what's coming out for them.
I'm excited for stuff in personal life. And as always, every Monday, Minecraft Monday.
Minecraft Monday.
Zethgore 187.
I'm excited. There's a new animated Transformers movie that's coming out. That's like an origin movie. I'm excited
Ooh.
for that. That's probably gonna be pretty fun. Yeah, Deadpool. I mean, I'm interested in seeing um, how Spum plays out. We're getting three Spums this year. We're getting Madam Web. We're getting Craven. I absolutely fully intend to not watch those in theater, so I'm gonna watch them at home. But I'm interested to see what happens with those. And then yeah, just overall, I'm excited to do more of this next year. That's an exciting thing. But so with that, I think we shall wrap it up.
Happy New Year.
As always, if you want to get into contact with the show, you can email the show. You can obviously leave a comment. You can go to the Discord, which is the Spur of the Moment podcast. I will try to link it in the description of this. You can also email the show at itsjustinsbusiness@gmail.com. Please don't be weird if you do. That's all I ask. Be if you want to contact us, ask us questions, give us offers. You can do it. Give us offers. Give us suggestions for stuff to watch. You can either do it in the email, do it on the Discord. As always, I'm on TikTok at Justin Spurr. Jordan, where are you?
I'm on Twitch at Zethgore187.
As he mentioned earlier, he will be doing his Minecraft Monday tomorrow, and it's going to be the first Minecraft Monday of the new year. Are you going to do anything New Year's related, Jordan?
Probably not. Probably just gonna do some mining, some crafting.
Probably not. So with that, yeah, this has been the Spur of the Moment podcast.